everyone to join today's webinar. Today, Daniel is going to share with you some updates and tax resources for you to prepare for the 2023 tax filing season. And after that, I will share with you how to protect your personal identity. So without further ado, Daniel, let's kick it off.
All right, thank you so much, Bailey, and thank you, Carol, for passing it over to me. Thank you, Bailey, for that warm welcome. We appreciate that. First thing that I would like to start off today explaining or kind of reminding you guys about is a couple of provisions that the IRS issued that were expired at the end of the 2022 year. And first off, I'll just kick it off and say that these are things to keep in mind when you're getting ready to file that 2023 return and knowing that these no longer apply, okay? So if you can take a look at your screen, you'll see that there are two items, and you can go to the next slide. I'm sorry, Mitchell. Next slide, please. All right, there are two items that we want you guys to keep in mind as a reminder for updates, and that is the standard mileage rate and the temporary 100% deduction for business meals. Now, for those using the standard mileage rate, there was an update for the remainder of, for the second half of the 2022 calendar year. The IRS issued a news release announcing the increase in the amount of the deduction for the optional standard mileage rate for the second half of the year. So anyone looking to take that standard mileage rate option, you would definitely want to consider this as well. And so for anyone operating automobile for the purpose of business, you want to take a look at the rates from January to the end of June, June 30th. They were 58.5 cents per mile. So you want to keep that in mind, that from that time period, they were 58.5 cents per mile. Now, the IRS issued this tax provision because they wanted to account for the increase of gas mileage. So they wanted to kind of give you guys a little bone here and acknowledge that the rates for gas increased. So they accommodated by increasing the gas mileage rate by 4 cents. So for the second half of the year, from July the 1st through December the 31st, 2022, you'll be taking the 62.5 cents per mile deduction. So you definitely want to take advantage of that. I know it may not be that big of a bone thrown to you, but you know, we have to take everything that we can get at this point. So that's one thing that I want you guys to keep in mind when going for your when filing that 2023 tax return. Another item that I'd like you to take a look at is the temporary 100% business meal deduction. And you can go to the next slide here, Mitchell. Thank you so much. This deduction is part of publication 463, I believe. You can find that on irs.gov. This deduction no longer applies to where you can receive the entire 100% deduction for a business meal. So at the end of 2022, you can no longer use the full benefit of deducting your business meal. So from, let me see here, it's from January 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022, you can deduct 100% of your meal expenses if provided by a restaurant. This also could be seen in more detail in publication 463. So those are two things that you definitely want to be mindful of when getting ready to file that 2023 return, that the standard mileage rate for the second half of the year increase, and also that you can no longer take the entire 100% deduction when accounting for business meals. So we'll take a pivot here and move to the next thing, which would be resources that you guys can take advantage of. And if you give me a second here, let me catch up with Mitchell. Okay. So if you don't use a free return preparation option, or you don't qualify at all, you probably want to use caution when choosing your return preparer. So I'm sure you guys have heard horror stories from others about bad experiences from having a fraudulent tax preparer. So we want you guys to have all the resources possible in order to make an informed decision when choosing your return preparer. So there are various types of return preparers, and that they are certified public accountants, enrolled agents, attorneys, and other type of enrolled agents. So you definitely want to make sure that your return preparer is almost as close to family as possible, because guess what? They're getting your personal information. They know about your marriage, they know about your kids, they know about your social security number. So you definitely want to make sure that you almost investigate them as closely as possible. So right now, I'm going to give you a few things to be out on the lookout for when you're choosing a tax return preparer. Okay, so when choosing return preparer, you want to make sure that you, give me a second here to catch up. You want to make sure that you're wary of any preparers that can offer you a higher refund amount if you go with them. That's almost a sure tell sign of a red flag when choosing a preparer. You definitely don't want to go for the money amount. I would say go for accuracy of the filing of your return over the amount of the refund that you're going to get. Now, do your own research ahead of time to make sure that you're getting every credit, every refund amount available. But at the same time, if they can say, oh, I have something different for you, and they can't provide a basis as to why they have that different refund amount, then you may want to stay away from them. You also want to avoid tax preparers who base their fees off of a certain percentage amount, or if they want to deposit all of your refund into their account. The IRS has it to where if you use direct deposit, we can deposit a portion of your refund into several accounts. So you definitely want to make sure that you are keeping that in mind as well. Another thing that you want to be wary of is if the tax preparer has a P10. Here at the IRS, we identify our professional preparers with a P10. And this number is used on your account to keep them accountable for filing your return. And it is also something that helps eliminate fraudulent activity. A lot of times we have ghost return preparers, and a ghost return preparer is someone who will prepare your return for a fee, but they will not sign your return as the person that prepared it. So you definitely want to avoid these characteristics when you're looking for a return preparer. Okay, next slide, please, Mitchell. Okay, now I want to shift your attention to another resource and tool that will be helpful to you when filing your individual taxes, and that is the Where's My Refund tool. This is one of our most popular tools, and it being so much because everybody wants to know where their money is, right? You want to track it down. It's almost like Amazon. When you order an Amazon package, you're as soon as you hit the submit or the order button, you're trying to figure out what block it's on. If it's down the street or if it's around the corner, you definitely want to make sure that you're keeping an eye on that. So this Where's My Refund tool allows you to track that. It will give you a personalized refund date after we process your return and approve your refund. Now, this tracker displays progress through 3 stages, and those 3 stages are return received, refund approved, and refund sent. Now, with these, in order to use this tool, you'll need to have 3 things, and that's the social security number, your filing status, and the exact refund amount. Next slide, please, Mitchell. Here you can see what the Where's My Refund tool looks like on irs.gov. As I stated before, you'll need your social security number, filing status, and exact refund amount. And we'll take a look at how it actually looks within irs.gov. So if you could go to the next slide, please, for me, Mitchell. Thank you. So as you can see, you can check the refund status with your tax year, social security number, filing status, and the expected refund amount. So you definitely want to make sure, as you can see at the top, it says that you may have entered information correctly. You may not have entered the information correctly, so verify your personal tax information. That's why it's extremely important for you to have this accurate information when selecting that. The reason why I'm showing that prompt now is because we just, put in numbers for examples. So once you fill in this information and you hit submit, go to the next slide, please, Mitchell. Oh, I'm sorry. Was that I thought there was another one. Okay, we skipped over one. Okay. Can you go back one more for me? There we go. There we go. Okay. So I skipped over this one. I wanted to show you the example of what it looks like if you, to make sure when you're putting your refund amount in. So let's just say if you have, you're expecting a refund of $555.50. You want to put $555, a whole amount of your refund. That's how we can better calculate the status of your refund. So I just wanted to go back and point that out to you, that you'll need to input it as such. Otherwise, if you do put the cents amount, then it will not give you that refund amount. All right, thank you, Mitchell, so much. We can fast forward to our next item. And the next item that I'd like to talk to you guys about today is setting up an online account. Now, if you take a look, next slide, please, Mitchell. Thank you so much. All right, if you take a look at your screen, these are some of the things that you could do with an online account. Now, we're encouraging everyone, if possible, to enroll in the IRS online account. This secure electronic feature allows you to view your account balance, make payments, get transcripts, view any type of notifications or letters that we have outstanding with you. You can approve authorizations, and you can update any type of name, address, or email on file with us through this online option. We can't stress that enough, that this is a tool that would benefit you. And if you want to know more about how to set up an online account, we show that in the publication 5533. So we'll kind of go through a little bit and show you an example of this as well, this resource as well. So Mitchell, if you can go to the next slide for me. Thank you so much. Okay, now for the example purposes, we're looking at Chad Lenny. Chad Lenny has a balance with us here at the IRS. The total amount that he owes is $330. And he owes this amount as it gives you down to the detail of the date that the balance was accrued. And also it goes down to tell you any type of payment options that he has, any type of payment activity that he's made previously. And it also tells you about any type of payment plan that may be in place, or installment agreement is what we commonly call that. It gives you details of the payment date, the amount that he would have to make, I'm sorry, the date of the payment that he would make each month. So you can access this through the IRS online account. That's why we strongly encourage you guys to set up an online account with us. Next slide, please, Mitch. And again, these are some of the options that you can that you have when setting up an online account. You can get transcripts, view and approve authorizations, view any type of notices or letters. Let's just say that the Postal Service did not get any mail out to you, and you're wondering if you do have a notice from the IRS. You can always check your online account to verify that. Okay, next slide, please, Mitchell. And these are some additional features that just came about for the online account feature. Within this, you can create a short-term payment plan. A lot of times we do have payment plans drawn out for the benefit of the taxpayer, but you can create a short-term payment plan. You can manage notification preferences, whether you rather have notices from us from email or from digital or via snail mail, though that option is available as well. And again, you can opt out of paper notices where applicable. You don't have to receive mail from us as a paper format. So these are options that that you can take advantage of with the online account. All right, next slide, please, Mitchell. And last but not least, if you need a tax return transcript from us, you can get it 3 ways. This is, you can get it via online through our online IRS account, or you can get it via mail, or you can just call us. Now, I'll let you know that the quickest way to get a transcript from us is via IRS online account. So you definitely want to be aware of that. And the 3 types of transcripts that we do offer are the tax return transcript, which shows most line items from your original Form 1040 series. We also have the tax account transcript, which shows basic data such as your filing status, taxable income, and payment types. And we also have the wage and income transcript, which shows data from information that we receive from your W-2, your 1099s, or 5498 if applicable. I'm sorry. All right, next screen, please. Okay. So all of what I just discussed is available to you in resources in the form of this IRS Services Guide, which is publication 5136A. This gives you a general synopsis of some of the common issues that taxpayers call the IRS about. So if you do want to find out more in detail, I know I did have just a brief moment to explain those items, but if you want to find out more in detail about these services or any questions that you may have, this is a great resource, and this can be found on irs.gov as well. So with that being said, I will pass it over to Carol, who will explain to you about IP PIN.
Perfect. Thank you, Daniel. Let's stay on this same slide for just a few more seconds, Mitchell. Thank you. I will have to agree with Daniel that this publication is really important and really helpful. If you have any tax related question, you will see if you need help with certain items, then you will find like different options, different ways for you to get help, including understanding identity thief issue on page 2, which is on your right hand side of the publication. And you will see that for this particular question, how do you get some more information on identity thief? And if you, I wonder if you have ever experienced like you receive a text transcript that Daniel mentioned earlier, but the text transcript that you receive from mail, you never actually requested, but you received the one by mail. Or you try to do your e-file, but you cannot because of duplicate social security number. Those are all could be signs of identity thief. So let's talk about today how you could protect your identity information by requesting your IP PIN. Next slide. Yep. So today we're going to talk about the identity protection PIN. We call it IP PIN. And next slide, we'll talk about what is the IP PIN, why it is so important, who can get one, how to request one, and we'll go over some frequently asked questions about the IP PIN. So IP PIN and identity protection PIN is a 6-digit number that prevents someone else from filing a tax return using your social security number or individual taxpayer identification number. This PIN will help the IRS to verify your identity when you file your electronic or tax return. Even though you may not have the filing requirement, an IP PIN will still protect your account from fraudulent filings. Next, please. Yep. So why is IP PIN important? An electronic filed return filed without your IP PIN or an incorrect IP PIN will get rejected, including your return and any fraudulent return using your social security number. So if you do not want to wait until you try to e-file, but you got rejected because of the duplicate social security number, then you may want to get your IP PIN today after this webinar because it's like a 2-factor authorization. It protects you, even someone, the identity thief, they have your social security number, but without your IP PIN, they won't be able to do the e-file for you or file the tax return on your behalf. Any paper returns filed with your correct IP PIN will undergo additional screening, and any fraudulent returns will be removed from your account. If the returns verify it's yours, then we'll continue to process it. Next slide. So let's talk about people. One time I was in like a street fair and they asked, oh, is this program new? It's actually not. It started in 2011. It's reserved at the beginning of the program. This program was trying to reserve for like confirming victims on tax identity thief. But then in 2014, some residents in certain states were invited to get this IP PIN. But starting in mid-January 2021, all taxpayers can apply for an IP PIN. Next slide. So who's eligible for an IP PIN? Anyone who has a social security number or an individual taxpayer identification number and can verify your identity is eligible to enroll into the IP PIN program. Although this is a voluntary enrollment, if you would like one, if you would like dual protection for your identity, we strongly suggest you to get your IP PIN today. However, if you are the victim of federal tax-related identity thief, are automatically enrolled into this IP PIN program. Next. Oops. Okay. So how to request an IP PIN? There are certain way to do it to request one for yourself, and the easiest way would be go online using the online tool irs.gov/IPPIN. From there, you'll be easy to log into your IRS account, which Daniel just mentioned earlier. From there, you'll be able to request your PIN. Once you verify all your identity, then you will be able to receive your PIN right away. It's the 6-digit PIN. Let's say if I finish this meeting today, I go to irs.gov/IPPIN and will link me to my IRS online account. Once I subscribe to this IP PIN program, I will immediately receive my 6-digit number, which if I'm about to finish my 2023 tax filing, then I will be using this 6-digit number for my tax return this year. Next, please. However, if you are not able to verify your information online, meaning you can't sign into your ID.me account or your IRS online account, there's other 2 ways for you to request a IP PIN. One is to fill out the form 15227. It's application for an IP PIN. This form is particularly for taxpayers who cannot verify their identity through the online application. But keep in mind that this process by submit this form, it may take up to 180 days to complete the enrollment. And taxpayer, when you use this form, you must include a telephone number for callback verification. And people who will be using this form, there are actually certain income limits requirement. So not everyone could use this form to submit the to request the IP PIN. The addressed gross income for individuals who would like to submit this form, your gross income cannot exceed 73,000 for individual or 146,000 for married filing joint. And after you submit, if you believe you are within this income limit, once you file this, you mail or text us this form, a call will call you and validate your identity. Once your identity is being verified, then you receive a notice by mailing containing your IP PIN within 4 to 6 weeks. But to process this form will take about 180 days. So let's take a look at what's the 3rd way to request the IP PIN. Mitchell, next, please. Yeah, so this is the 3rd way for you to request one. It's an in-person meeting at a local taxpayer assistance office. We call it TAC. If you really cannot verify your identity through the online application, which is the most easiest way, or you don't qualify to use the form 15227, you may be able to go to a TAC, Taxpayer Assistance Office, to request a IP PIN. We suggest you to call to make an appointment in advance by calling the number 844-545-5640. And to go into the appointment, remember to bring one current government issue picture identification document and another ID. So total, you will have 3 ways to request your IP PIN. Go to use the online tool, submit the form 15227, or make an appointment at a local TAC. Next, please. Okay, so now let's talk about you have your IP PIN now. How do you use the IP PIN while filing? If you are considering to e-file of your return, your tax software or your practitioner will tell you where to enter the IP PIN. And then each taxpayer claim on a tax return who receives an IP PIN must have their IP PIN entered on the tax return. This includes the IP PIN for any independents included in the tax return. For instance, my 15-year-old, she has her IP PIN, I have my IP PIN, and I'm going to claim her as my independent on the tax return. But because both of us will have our own IP PIN, before I do my e-file, I will have to enter both my IP PIN and my daughter's in order for us to successfully do the e-file. Next, please. If you are using a paper return, again, you will have to enter IP PINs in the box marked identity protection PIN in the signature area of the tax return. And each taxpayer who has an IP PIN must put down their IP PIN on their tax return. However, the only difference is if you are doing your paper return, using a paper return, you do not need to enter the IP PIN for your independent. But if you do e-file, you will have to for including your dependents. Next, please. Oh, okay. So now let's go over some questions that we normally will receive. What if a taxpayer lost or doesn't receive an IP PIN notice? So the fastest method would be go back to your online account or go back to the IP PIN webpage by logging to irs.gov. From there, you will be able to receive your 6-digit PIN again. Or you could call the IRS helpline at 800-908-4490. You will need to verify your identity and your current mailing address. From there, you will be receiving a notice for a 69C containing your IP PIN. Okay. So a few important reminders about this IP PIN program. It definitely will protect your federal tax account from identity thief. And IP PIN is valid for 1 year, 1 calendar year. Each year, a new IP PIN is generated for your account, meaning that I am going to, if you decided to submit to join this program to request one IP PIN for yourself today after the webinar, you will go to irs.gov/IPPIN. From there, you will log into your IRS account and to request to join this program. Once you are joined, you will immediately receive your 6-digit number, which is your IP PIN. But because this is a mid-March, the IP PIN will be used towards your 2023 tax filing. However, the PIN will automatically get generated a new one in December this year. So 2024, when you're about to file for your next tax season, you will need to log back in to the website and to receive your new 6-digit number in order to use the new PIN for your next year's filing, because this IP PIN is only valid for 1 calendar year. Never share your IP PIN with anyone other than your tax preparer at the time of filing. When they're ready to submit the e-file for you, they may ask you for the 6-digit PIN, and at that time, you could share with them. If you are unable to enroll online, which is the most easiest way, there are alternative way, which is by filing the form 15227, application for an IP PIN, or you could make an appointment, go in person to the local taxpayer assistant office. Oh, one last item. Please do keep your address, your address current, including your dependent, because when you lost your PIN and you need to call the number, you will only mail the PIN to the address that's listed under your account. If you do not have the most current address listed, then you will still not be able to receive the PIN. Next, please. Okay, so this is the flyer for identity PIN. If you find this IP PIN would help you protect your personal identity information, we strongly suggest you to share this information with your colleagues and employees because it's a dual factor authorization. If the identity thief have your social security number, without this IP PIN, they won't be able to file the tax on your behalf. So it's a dual factor authorization to protect your identity. And this flyer is also available in 6 other languages, including Chinese. We have both simplified and traditional format to help you and your community to know more about this IP PIN program. So I hope you will find it important. And right after the webinar, if you do not have one yet, go online irs.gov/IP PIN to get your IP PIN today.